So before the release of Starfield, one of the biggest questions that people were waiting for an answer for was the game going to be in 60 frames per second on the Xbox console, specifically on the Xbox Series X? And we did get that answer shortly before the release that they were going to be keeping it at 30 frames per second. Todd Howard's explanation was he didn't want to take you out of the immersion from bad frame rates when enemies enter the screen and stuff, and just kind of pull you out from the environment and everything that they've built, which is extremely high detail. Now that the game is out, 30 frames per second on the Xbox consoles has been fine. I've completely enjoyed the experience. I'm not really feeling like I'm missing out from not having a super high powered PC to be able to play it at 60 frames per second. If I had the choice and they were able to get a 60 FPS patch in there for Starfield tomorrow, would I take it? Absolutely. But right now, it does not feel like the 30 frames per second with Starfield has hindered the experience at all on the Xbox. And people were wondering, could this game actually run at 60 FPS? Todd Howard said it could, but they wanted to lock it again at 30 to keep that immersion. And now we have some proof here from tests that suggest that the game could actually run between 40 and 60 frames per second. This is via Digital Foundry, and they've been trying to answer that question. And here is what they say. Most of the time, we're beyond 40 frames per second. So, possibly a 40 frames per second mode with a different GPU balance or different tweak to dynamic resolution scaling bounds could be viable, or possibly something like a VRR specific mode. Neon basically runs locked to 60 frames per second. Neon a place in the game, which I couldn't quite believe. And then I went into the nightclubs, some minor dips there, but the whole thing was basically running at 60. So how did they test this? You may be asking. They built essentially a PC that is exactly like the Xbox Series S. It says, in order to test this, the team put together the actual Xbox Series X CPU via the AMD 4800S desktop kit, paired with a GPU that's a close match for the PS5s. And then they ran Starfield at the closest possible settings to the Xbox Series X version. They dropped the resolution down from 4K to 1440p to match the Xbox Series S version. And then they did some exploration within the game. So ultimately, this game could have a 40 FPS mode, but also at points have a solid 60 frames per second mode, but definitely has that variance in the FPS on the Series X, which is exactly what Todd Howard was essentially talking about leading up to the release, that I didn't want to have that crazy variance where you were jumping from 30 to 60, depending on where you were in the game. He wanted it to be stable, and he wanted you to have that seamless experience where you weren't being brought out of it with major dropped frames, depending on what part of the world that you were in. So the Series X can run this game at a higher frames per second. I wonder if they're going to be using some magic right now in the background going forward for a patch where they will bring out a 60 FPS patch for the Xbox Series X. I'm sure people would love to see that. But the great thing is, like I said, the 30 frames per second currently on the console hasn't reduced my experience to the point where I don't want to play it anymore. So we'll see going forward if anything happens. But there you have it. The Series X technically can hit that 60 frames per second. Now let's talk about this, because this to me could be a major game changer in the gaming industry. I'm a little bit skeptical on it. We're going to have to wait and see how these games actually run. But Apple revealed their latest iPhones that are going to be coming out, the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro. And what is extremely interesting about this is that they announced that there are going to be AAA games that you're going to be able to run natively on these devices. It says here, the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro were announced during an Apple event on Tuesday. Capcom's Resident Evil 4 remake and Resident Evil Village will be released for the Pro device later this year. And then on top of that, this is a huge one because this is a game that's not even out yet. It's a major AAA game coming out in 2023. Assassin's Creed Mirage, which will be released for PC and consoles in October, is headed to the iPhone 15 Pro in early 2024. And then the fellow Ubisoft game, The Division Resurgence, will be as well. Now, these phones pre-orders are starting September 15th and will be released on September 22nd. I mean, they're extremely expensive, extremely pricey. To get the 15 Pro, it starts at $1,000 and goes all the way up to 1199. It depends on the storage. I was looking, there's like storage, I believe, up to 1 terabyte that you're able to get. So that kind of solves that issue. I was thinking about being able to actually put big AAA games on these devices. They will have those storage options available, so you will be able to fit those on there. But this is a game changer going forward. If these games run good, big AAA games on the phone itself, you're going to see a lot of people opting for this, as the device is right there in your hands that you need. Like, you can't really survive in this world right now, I guess, depending on what you do, without a smartphone. It is a part of your life. And if you're able to get big AAA games on that, you're probably just going to go with that package. I mean, for a lot of people to have just everything in one place and then grab those attachable controllers to connect on the side. Me personally, I still want to play my AAA games on an iPhone. I will still be getting consoles until they stop making consoles. But this is huge. And this kind of shows Xbox right now what they're thinking. They probably heard rumblings about this. They probably thought that this was the way that gaming was going to go. Apple, a huge competitor in terms of the money that they have, the ability to try to get into the gaming industry. They could make a big splash here if this does take off and a lot of people are buying these games via the Apple Store, or however they're going to be able to buy them and then play them on the iPhone natively, not just through the cloud. You're going to see a huge change, I think, and a huge, even more growth and explosion in the mobile gaming market. And Xbox has definitely been preparing for this. This is why we've heard so much about the mobile gaming industry from them, especially with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. They are probably thinking, not only are they going to have to be able to compete with the cloud on mobile phones, maybe at some point they're going to be able to bring their games natively over to people's mobile phones via the Xbox Store app that they've been talking about developing. Once more phone models like the iPhone 15 Pro are out there and more people can pick them up and buy them that can actually run these big AAA games, Xbox would be very, very smart to release the Xbox Game Pass store, or the Xbox Store, where you can choose to purchase and download their AAA games, third party, first party, or whatever, and have your Xbox account linked to it, get achievements, and just stay within the ecosystem and then play them natively on the phone. I think Xbox is setting themselves up to be able to compete with this, because I think this could be a game changer in the industry if Apple's able to pull this off and they do succeed. Now, to be fair, we've seen companies try to enter the gaming industry. I mean, you look at Google, a massive company. With the failure of Google Stadia, maybe their next step is going to be putting out the Google Pixel Android phone that's going to be going along the lines as to what the iPhone 15 Pro is. And all of that stuff is going to be playing in here. So when Xbox talks about their major competition now being other players potentially entering the market, like Amazon, like Google, and like Apple, this is all coming to fruition now. And the next number of years, it's going to be super interesting to see how the industry unfolds. Now, one of the biggest engines for developing games for a long time has been Unity. It's because it's a very low entry cost. Developers can get in there. It's easy to use. Indie devs will cut down their costs by using it, and they can create some amazing stuff. And it seems like all of this is going to be changing, and this could technically have a major impact on Xbox Game Pass. This is an article here from Windows Central saying Unity is introducing new fees for developers, and it could have a big negative impact on Xbox Game Pass. And the reason for that is they are going to now be charging a per install fee similar to Unreal Engine. So basically, here is the breakdown of everything that's happening. They say that today the firm announced that it will follow other engines in charging a runtime fee starting January 1st, 2024. The fee could potentially impact installs made via services like Xbox Game Pass, hurting the viability of the business deals around the platform. And here is their new model, their new fee per installation model. So you're going to have Unity Personal and Unity Plus, Unity Pro, and Unity Enterprise. And this is how much they're going to be charging per install. For Unity Personal and Plus, it will be 20 cents per install. For Unity Pro, 15 cents per install, depending on how, from 1 to 100,000. 7.5 cents per install from 100,000 to 500,000. 3 cents per install from 500,000 to 1 million. And then installs a million plus, they will charge 2 cents per install for the Unity Pro. And then for Unity Enterprise, it will be 12.5 cents per install from 1 to 100,000 installs, 6 cents for 100 to 500,000 installs, 2 cents for 500,000 to a million installs, and 1 cent for 1 million plus installs. So that is their standard monthly rate. And they also have an emerging market monthly rate, which is extremely cheap as well. So, right there, I mean, it doesn't seem like that much money, but previously that wasn't the case. And developers are going to be pissed off about this. There's actually an update here where it was originally published in the morning and then was updated with this new information here from Agro Crab Games, which is working on the highly anticipated Another Crab's Treasure. I don't know how, I never heard about it, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are very interested. And here's their response to how this whole thing is going to work out with Unity. They say, today, Unity, the engine we use to make our games, announced that they'll soon be taking a fee from developers for every copy of the game installed over a certain threshold, regardless of how that copy was obtained. Guess who has a somewhat highly anticipated game coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024? That's right, it's us and a lot of other developers. So I'm guessing they're revealing the fact that this game was coming to Game Pass. I'm not sure if this was previously announced, if we didn't know about it, but it is coming to Game Pass in 2024. And it says that means Another Crab's Treasure will be free to install for the 25 million Game Pass subscribers. If a fraction of those users download our game, Unity could take a fee that puts an enormous dent in our income and threatens the sustainability of our business. And then that's the whole point right there as to why it could hurt subscription services like Game Pass and like PlayStation Plus, because as the end user, as the consumer, it's costing us really just that monthly fee for get the Xbox ecosystem for Xbox Game Pass to download the game. And a lot of people may literally just download these games. They have access to 25 plus million people, just download them, play it for 5-10 minutes, never go back to it. And the developer is going to be having to pay a fee just for that. So you could have 25 million people literally downloading it on day one, playing it for 5 minutes, and the developer is going to be out of luck. So I wonder what effect this will have on developers and publishers deciding to put their game into the Game Pass service if they are using. I mean, it'll obviously at the end of the day affect the indie devs more so than anything. The smaller developers are going to be hurt by this. The bigger developers are probably the drop in the bucket for them if their game is popular and they're selling a lot and they get a huge bag of money from Xbox or from PlayStation to get it into the subscription service. Other thing that I could see potentially happening from this is that Xbox is going to have to rework some deals. There are some games that maybe they're going to have to pay more money for now because these devs and these publishers are going to say, well, hey, we need to get at least this much so we don't get completely destroyed by the install fee that Unity is charging. So we'll see how this affects. But again, another big change in the gaming industry. Now, let's talk about this here because we know with Starfield, there was that kind of controversy before the game release between Nvidia and the AMD GPUs, and seemingly it looked like Bethesda was hurting people who had an Nvidia GPU by not having DLSS, and somebody already made a mod for the DLSS. But now Nvidia is actually going to be boosting Starfield's performance with a GPU driver update. It says NVIDIA will automatically update its drivers to improve Starfield's performance for the RTX 30 and 40 series GPUs. Specifically, says today NVIDIA is releasing a resizable bar profile for Starfield, which increases performance on the RTX 40 series, RTX 30 series, desktop and laptop GPUs. And in the testing, the RTX 40 series desktop GPU saw an average of a 5% increase in performance. So you're having issues with your RTX GPUs with this game. If you're not getting the performance you think you should be getting, maybe this update is going to be coming and fixing all of your problems, and that will be giving you a better experience with the game. I think we have seen some issues with the optimization on PC depending on the GPU you are using, but overall I believe the performance is solid across the board. There also been review bombs. A lot of it, people are saying the review bombs are PlayStation fanboys and people on PC who are annoyed about the optimization. So whatever that means, maybe this will be the thing that does fix it. And then finally, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch too, because this is again is going to be a huge player. It's going to be a big competitor to Xbox when they do announce it. Apparently, this is a rumor here from Nintendo, from Nate the Hate, saying that there's going to be a direct this week. They're going to announce Breath of the Wild 4K 60 version with no loading times. And we heard that behind closed doors, they had shown off this game or an upgraded version of Breath of the Wild. Not sure if it'll have DLSS 3.1 or 3.5. Not sure about backwards compatibility, but March 2024 was mentioned for the release date, which would coincide exactly with how they released the original Nintendo Switch. A announcement, I believe, early in 2016 with March 2017 release. And Matrix Awakens UA5 wasn't shown on native hardware, but I guess they say that is impressive. So we'll see if we're going to get that announcement for Nintendo Direct this week, and then we'll get the announcement for the Nintendo Switch 2. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, help this channel grow, and I will catch you guys in the next video.